Hello everyone and welcome to Mark Knoll Horsemanship. Here we are with Daisy. Daisy is a 3-year-old quarter horse filly that I started here probably, it's been at least a year ago now. You can scroll back and see some videos of Daisy. Daisy's the one that her front ankles curled under her one day and she fell right over there with me. Y'all may remember that video. But Daisy is back. She is back for further education, so to speak, and so this is a video to prove also to all the naysayers out there that may have had a negative comment about me riding these young horses at 2 years old. Daisy had 6 or 8, maybe 10 rides put on her when she was here before, and I may be wrong on the number, but it wasn't many. And she went home and she matured a little bit. Where these horses are from, the owner that owns them has got a really nice pastures for them to run in. They got a creek to drink out of. It's up, it's down, it's flat, and they got a good place to be raised, and plenty of grass. So she's went out and she's got a little bit of size to her. She's a well-made mare. I think she's if I'm wrong, I'll come back and correct myself on video, but I think she goes along the lines of Frenchman's Guy. Is that right, Burgundy?
I have no idea.
We don't know, but she's kind of running blood prospect type breeding. That's the intentions of this filly, is to go to the barrel racing world if she pans out. And I'm actually going to get her started on, after I get her riding again, I'm actually going to bring out my old barrel racing skills. I used to barrel race quite a bit when I was younger. But I'm excited to try it again because of the knowledge that I've acquired since them days. And before, I just sort of kicked them and turned them around the barrel, until it got pretty. Didn't really know how to set a horse up and teach them to bend in the rib cage and teach them to create that pocket that they need around that barrel. Didn't know how to do none of that back then, but I still won a lot. Not bragging, but. And by the way, y'all be ready for a picture I'm gonna post of those days. And I did have a tie down on my horse back then, but I've learned now to not use tie downs like I used to. So don't fuss at me too much when you see this picture. But I'll post it on there soon, and y'all can have a look at my old barrel racing days. So. But today what we're going to do, we're going to refresh her on some groundwork. It's been, I think I can remember the date being on them videos, wasn't it back in March, February?
Well, she's been here twice. So she was here first of all, and you just saddled her. You never rode her.
That's right.
And then she was turned out. You brought her back in, and you refreshed her, and you rode her, and she was here, I think, maybe for 60 days. And I think that was last fall, like early fall, and then she was turned out over the winter, and now she's back.
Right. So there you go. You got it from the timekeeper herself, which I am not in that category, because time to me is a blur sometimes. So but yeah, so there you go. So after being all fall, winter, and part of the spring here, I'll just pick right up and do some groundwork with her. All I'm going to do today is put a pad on her and cinch it on there, and just refresh her mind with something being constricted around her, being tight around her. And we're not going to do a whole lot. She's in good order, but she's not in good working order. So you got to keep all that in mind. So we're going to start her off slow and just get some groundwork. First off, I'm just going to ask her to back up here and give me some space, a little bit more. And then I'm just going to direct her off to the left right here. And as you can see, after all winter of being off, she hasn't forgotten hardly anything. We're just going to let her move around in here a little bit here. Not going to do a lot with her. I worked her just briefly yesterday. Didn't do a lot. Just got her in yesterday, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. But we went and loaded her up yesterday and got her in. And of course, she was a hollering and a screaming mess. When I picked her up away from her buddy, she was out with 3 other horses, or 2 others, while I had the one here. There's 4 total that this man's got. And Goldie, the dun horse that just went home, is who she replaced, and they're all from the same owner. And next I'll be bringing in, I don't know if y'all remember Ruby, which was a red rose little filly. I'll be bringing her in next from this guy. So anyway, so just got her in yesterday. Now watch right here. I'm just gonna gild them hindquarters and send her off. Now that's right there. It shows you that after all this time of being off, they don't forget. I've had people ask me that if I get hurt or if I can't work my horse all winter, do I have to worry about them forgetting? No, you got to remember something. Horses don't forget anything good or bad, and they guarantee you they'll remember the bad though a whole lot better than they'll remember the good. So, but they don't forget if it's done correctly or incorrectly. They don't forget. So, and I'm not trying to wear her out. I'm just trying to get her in a little bit better start to get her back in shape again, so she can handle these workouts. You can see this little fast extended trot that I got going, and she's wanting to stop, but she'll be all right. Now we're going to go her hindquarters, go the other way. She's a pretty quick little filly. She's pretty athletic. So on these type horses, really any horse, but on these little quick little fillies especially, you want to make sure that you got all your P's and Q's lined up before you go to riding them again, because they can do some pretty good athletic moves. So right there, her mind is on me. She's connected to me. She's not just wandering around everywhere, and I like that. So you know, she's looking around, and I'll give her that. I don't expect a horse to stand here like a robot programmed, but when those feet move is when I'll correct it. If they're just moving their head like she is now, I've got the linemen are over here stretching new fiber optic line today, so there's a lot to look at. So I don't mind her being a little bit distracted, but like right there, when them feet get to moving, that's when I'll correct her and just tell her no, she needs to stand still. Now we'll go over here and get my pad and my girth. We're going to get this cinched on her. Probably won't saddle her today, just because it will give her time to get in better shape and just get adjusted. It was just yesterday that I brought her in. There is absolutely no use in getting in a big hurry. Now I'm chomping at the bit myself. I would love to go ahead and saddle her and start riding her. That's what she's here for. But I'm not, just because I know that she needs more time to settle. She's of course a female, and it's springtime. She's probably going to be going in and out of some heat cycles here, and so you got to keep all that in mind, and take your time with these horses, and don't get in a hurry, especially if the owner is allowing you to take your time. That's a tricky situation for those out there that may be wanting to do what I do for a living. It's a touch and go deal when the owner is pretty impatient, or maybe the owner can't afford it. It's a pretty it makes it hard on you, because you're wanting to do a good job, and they're either rushing you because of they're impatient, or they're rushing you because they don't have money. And I understand. I don't have the money either. So, but right here, you see how I didn't lose my patience with her moving around? This is very understandable for a young horse to be bothered by a girth, because it goes against what nature tells them. Nature tells them to don't let anything grab a hold of you, don't let anything squeeze you, because it could be your life. Now there comes a time that they'll need corrected for it, but this time I'm not going to correct her. I've just sit here while I've run my mouth, and I've kept tension on it and just let her settle. And the first thing that we want to do is go to snatching and grabbing the halters and jerking their head around and stuff to get them to stand still. Well, what you do then, what you do at that point is you teach them to be panicked about something, because you reacted to it. But if you'll just relax, now listen to me here. This is worth listening to. If you just relax, it gives that horse no reason to do it again next time. They didn't get a thing out of it. just everybody take a big deep breath and relax when they're working with their horse. I mean, I'm not saying to let that horse run over top of it. But if she needs to move her feet right there a little bit when I'm starting to cinch that up at this stage. Now, there comes a time she needs to graduate past it. She needs to quit drinking milk and start eating meat, so to speak. She needs to mature. But for right now, I don't mind her moving around. I had a lady one time that came out to watch me work horses, and I was saddling a horse that had just been being saddled, and the horse was walking around me, you know, while I was cinching it up. It knew the cinch was coming, and it was getting a little bit nervous, and she said, "Why don't you cross tie that horse?" And I said, "Ma'am, you want to get in a wreck, then you go ahead and cross tie one or tie one up while you're putting the saddle on for the first little bit, first month or so. You'll get in a real wreck." And I turned around and she was walking off. She got in her car and left. She didn't like the fact that I was allowing that horse to walk around me, and she decided she wasn't going to use me as her what she needed, and that was somebody to work with her horse. I got ready to say trainer, but I don't consider myself a horse trainer. A horseman and a horse trainer are two different things. So allow your young horse to move if it needs to a little bit at first. I'm not saying forever, but if you'll let a horse move its feet, it'll figure out it don't have to. And like the words of Tom Dorrance used to say, those are just words until you make them happen. So now I'm just going to lunge her out with this girth on. It's tight enough that she can feel it. And like I say, it's just reintroducing the girth to her. It's reintroducing the constriction. And here in a day or so, I'll switch from this and go to my saddle. And if she's anything like she was from the first time to the second time I got her back, she's probably gonna buck around a little bit. And I don't necessarily mind that. They need to figure out life. They need to figure out that it don't do no good. And I'm expecting her.
Excuse me.
Thank you, honey.
I'm sorry.
I'm expecting her to just don't do that when I'm riding these young horses. You just hold that back, okay? I'm expecting her to not to buck when I first saddle her, but be okay with it if she does.
Well, she was a drama mama last time, not just with bucking, but remember when we put her up and she was like rolling around and kicking the walls like, eh.
Yeah, Burgundy's right. When I had saddled her before.
And before anybody raises their eyebrow, no, she was not colicking.
No, she was just mad. I can't really take you back in my mind and paint a picture for you that day, but after we saddled her and put her up, she was just mad. She was, like Burgundy said, she was kicking the walls. She'd throw herself down in the stall. She was mad. And she did it that one time, and after that she was fine with the saddle. But she was really perturbed. So, just something to keep in mind with her, you know. That's why we're taking her time. Because a hot little mess like her will definitely, if you're not careful, get you hurt and herself hurt. And that's not what we're trying to do. Now, for all you that really wants to learn horses, I'll give you something that took me years to understand. Did y'all see her or hear her start to blow? You know, most of the time they do that when they got dust up their nose or something's tickling them. But in this case, it's a sign of getting a little bit tired. They're getting a little bit settled. And if you noticed, after she blew, she was wanting to turn to me and stop. So that's just a little trait or something, a mannerism that to look for in these horses of getting them settled. And that's the whole reason that I personally do groundwork with a horse, is I want their mind settled. I want them relaxed. I'm not trying to wear her out before I ride her. I'm not going to ride her today anyway. But in most cases, when I'm riding a horse and I still do groundwork, I'm not trying to wear them out. I'm just trying to settle them just a little bit. Oh. Just trying to settle them down just a little bit. Just like the saddle, that there can be taken up another hole. Now, if you get the idea and still this idea, that's fine with me. But just keep in mind that this little setup I got right here, it's actually squeezing that backbone, that spine down a little bit. So long durations at a time wouldn't be a very good idea. But temporary, just for a few minutes, don't hurt nothing. We'll just let her settle here just a second. Kind of get her wind back. And like I said, we're just going to start her off slow. We're not going to get in a big hurry with her. You know, I probably could saddle her today. I was actually thinking about it there a while ago while she was going, but I really don't think I will. I'm going to let her get more settled. She kind of tore her stall up last night by, you know, just rounding around, and, you know, rightly so. She had her freedom, and now she don't. And don't worry, everybody. It don't hurt them every now and then for their freedom to be taken away. It really helps these horses mature, and it helps them settle. I think every horse ought to learn that they can be in a stall. And if you do stalls right, there's nothing wrong with a stall. If you make a stall miserable by keeping them in it all the time and never seeing the light of day or never getting exercise, then stalls are bad. But if you do a good job at keeping your horse exercised and everything, stalls can be a good thing.
And I'll go as far as the sanitary part. You need to, I mean, we clean them daily, and they're limed, and they're freshly bedded, and
that's right.
Their feet are allowed to dry out. They can lay down if they want to. So.
That's right. Now you know why I married Birdie. She always reminds me of the key points, and that is a good key point. Is that the maintenance of the stalls, keeping them clean. That's probably the main thing to a stall. And like she just said, we clean them every day. Depending on the shape of the stall, sometimes we'll have to take it down quite a bit and put fresh sawdust in, but most of the time it's just picking and smoothing that stall out a little bit, and maybe adding a little fresh, shaking a little hydrated lime around a little bit to help the bacteria and the smell. And people have actually come into our barn and said, man, you don't have many flies in here. And you know, where there is no manure, there is no flies. So if you can keep the manure limited, then your flies will be limited. So it's like even in here in the round pen, when a horse drops some droppings in here, you know, one or two may slip by because it gets scattered and mixed in with the dirt, but most 95% of the time we get them picked up too, because if you're not careful, if you just keep letting them drop their manure in here, all this will turn into manure. It gets nasty. So keep your barn and your arenas clean. If you want to. If you don't, then be nasty. It don't matter to me. But I keep to be clean. All right, we got her a whole lot more settled. Again, like I said, I could probably go to the saddle today, but I think what I'm going to do is do a little desensitizing with her, and maybe put this tarp on her right here a little bit, and then we're going to let this be a session with little Daisy today. So let me go over here. I think I'm going to go straight to my tarp. I'm not going to worry about the flag today. I don't know, I haven't quit using the flag, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to be the only one out there that probably says this, but I have figured out that the way that I have been taught to desensitize with the flag, a lot of times the reason the horse is moving around, a little bit of it's fear, but I'm starting to think that it's aggravating them. I mean, and you know, so what? I mean, I don't mind to aggravate a horse every now and then, but what I'm getting at is sometimes they're not moving around because they're scared of it, but I mean, I can't help it when something goes by my head for me to react either. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't do it as much because I feel like it's just aggravating them. Now to rub them with it and just do a little bit of over their back and let them see it out of the other eye, like stand right here and just, you know, take it over there and let them see it over there and over here and over there. Sure, but the real desensitizing, to where you sit and make that thing, you got to remember, a lot of this stuff is for show. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm here to reveal the rootness or the depths of this horsemanship clinician type setting. A lot of the things that you've been taught to do is people that's figured out that impresses crowds. I'm just being honest with you. Does it help the horse? Well, it may. Do you have to do it? I've done it both ways, and the outcome is the same. So I'm not saying to stop desensitizing. What I'm saying is it don't have to be as much, and it don't have to be as technical. And the flag, again, I'll get back to the reason I brought that up. I think sometimes that they're not spooking from it after a little bit as much as they are, it's just aggravating them. I mean, like I say, if something flies by my head, I flinch. It's an instinct. I don't want to take that instinct away from them and then something fly by and whop them in the head because they've been taught not to react to it. I mean, think about it. So what I try to do is I try to desensitize everywhere I'm going to be. Listen to me here. Everywhere I'm going to be on their back. My legs is going to be hanging down. I don't ride their head. Now, if a horse is, what are you looking at me like that for, honey? If a horse is head shy, yeah, I'll work on that. But I'm not, if they're fine right here around their head, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to ride their head. I'm going to ride their back. So I'm going to desensitize anything of where I'm going to be. Just like right here. This is my leg. Boom, there you go. This is the saddle. Boom, there you go. I mean, it's this area here that matters to me the most. Now, every now and then I'll pitch it under the belly, let them see it out of that other eye. You know, so I'm going to desensitize areas of where I'm going to be. Remember, I'm not trying to make a trick horse. I'm trying to make a good, safe riding horse.
So you don't light sparklers and hold it in front of their face?
I have no idea where I would ever run into sparklers in my life riding a horse.
Or make them live with pots and pans in their stall?
No, I can't imagine them doing any cooking at night when they're in their stall either. So, and we're being facetious, but I mean, we're being serious. This whole desensitization thing has been, hey, I fell for it. I know. I've been down the same road that y'all are going down. I fell for it too. And it can be a bunch of baloney. I'm not saying to stop desensitizing. What I'm saying is to quit doing it so much. And I think the reason why people do it over and over and over and continuously over and over is because they think that they're getting that horse safer for them, and it's out of fear that they're doing it. Y'all, you eventually just got to get on that horse and ride it. Eventually. I'm not saying to make any stupid decisions or rash decisions, but eventually you've got to get on that horse and ride it. So quit thinking of every excuse that you can. Oh, I need to do more with the flag, or I need to do more, like right here. You know, she's evidently thought I was going to hit her in the head with it. Now she's not what you call scared of it as much as she's just like, what are you doing? So I'm just going to stay in here until she does what? Until she quits moving her feet. I'll go all the way over. And guess what? She quit moving her feet. So what did I do? I quit. Go this side again, and then we're going to strap it on her, lunge her around a little bit, and let that be a session. Now let me explain to you. We got a lot going on over here. Y'all can't see, but like I said, they're stretching new lines today. And there's men walking in these weeds and stuff over here. And when a horse is distracted by that, sometimes what you're doing is worse than it would be if they weren't over there. I don't know if that makes sense or not. They kind of bleed off off of stuff, and it comes into what you're doing with it. So you got to keep all that in mind when you're working with a horse. I'm just going to put this in the side over here and just lunge her around a little bit with it. Like I said, that's going to be my leg. I need to make sure where I'm at, where I'm going to be, she's desensitized to. Touching her back leg right there, she kind of had a little tickly moment, but she's all right. And some would say, well, how long do you do this? Well, I do it until they settle with it, until they're fine. You don't have to wear them out. So like right here, change direction. Now this is where I'll get more of a reaction from her, because it's on that other side. Now you just watch her ear right there. Watch her ear over there. Right there, she's looking at that tarp. She look forward. She'll look at that tarp right here. She's okay with it. See her head coming down. All those signs right there are telling me she's okay with it. She's licking those lips now. Why would I keep going around and around and around? Huh? Answer me that. I know one that does, and he's pretty wealthy these days. But I for one, if they've got it, they've got it. But what you do to one side, you should always do to the other. So I'll start her off at the same side that the tarp is on for now. Look for her reaction, her response, her demeanor. Worked with one guy, he said demeanor, he called it a meaner.
A meaner?
Yeah, look at their meaner. See how they are.
Either they're mean or they're not.
He also called navicular, funicular. So, just funny little things. We'll take her this away. Just watch her overall reaction. I don't see anything to be concerned about with her. As far as helping her with it and getting her over a little more, I think she's all right. Ooh. Right here, she just needs to be a little bit more snappy about facing up. That's all. So, there you go. There's what I do here at Marknell Horsemanship. For years now I have, with young horses that have come to me and went home and then come back again. I like doing it this way. I think it makes a better horse. And we're just going to keep going with her. And if I say anything else, I'll be repeating myself, so I'll just let that go. And I really want to appreciate y'all tell you I thank you, and I appreciate you for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.